Hey everyone, this is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Welcome to my weekly afternoon tea time and a card. I'm just going to give it a few seconds for everyone to find me, so welcome. So for the month of October, I'm just going to announce a couple things. For the month of October, I am participating in some stamping events that Stamping Up is hosting weekly for demonstrators. I'm actually going to show you the project we created tonight, but I'm going to be going live at 8 p.m. in Eastern time instead of 7 p.m. So just an hour later for the month of October. So just a few announcements while everyone finds me. We have a new promotion for the month of October. It's a starter kit for anyone that joins the Stamping Up family. Oh, I should have asked you guys, can you guys hear me okay? I always am paranoid that my microphone's not working. So just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. I just want to make sure. Okay, I see some thumbs up. Good. So what I want to stress about the starter kit, I always have people ask me questions about joining. You never have to do classes or workshops or parties or lives like I'm doing with you today. It's just a great way to get some products in your hands at a really great deal. So for the month of October, you get $155 worth of products of your choice. You get to pick from both catalogs. And I'm going to flip this over because I took some notes for you. So $155 of your choice, free shipping, so that would be a value of $15.50. Free paper pumpkin kit, $21. So that's a total of $191.50. And guess what? You only pay $99 plus your sales tax because it's free shipping. It's just a great way to stock up on products. And you get to be a demonstrator on my team for 6 months without having to do anything else. You don't even have to order again if you don't want to. And if you do order, you get 20% off any future orders. So I wanted to mention that. Now, let me go over just a few other perks that you'll get. Like today, I participated in a demonstrator class. Once a week, they give us instructions on what to bring. It's a mystery stamping. So the list had all the cardstock and ink that we needed. We needed the Splendid Thoughts stamp set and the dies. And if we didn't have that, we can substitute for something similar. We also used a really neat way. I'm going to show you that we used the big banner from the Stylish Shapes dies. And then we also used some twine. So let me bring the card in that we made together. And this was a Stamping Up event. So look at the card. I'm just going to quickly explain it in case you want to create one. So we used our water painters with some white ink. And we just did a color wash on the background. Very easy. This is Blushing Bride. And look, I'll bring it up closer. Look at the stitching right here. So that's what we used. This banner, we just put it like this on the edge of the cardstock and we cut that out and it gave us the little stitch lines. So what a great way to add stitch lines to the very edge of a cardstock piece. And then we white embossed the branch on the background that you see, plus the sentiment. You can see it's nice and white and shiny. And then 2 layers of the die cut branches. So what a cute card. That was the mystery stamping. Another perk for joining, I am starting a class with my team. It's going to be so far 6 weeks of watercolor classes. Because they're on my team and they joined under me, they get to attend my classes for free. And I give them what they need. I have like a little handout. This is the supplies they're going to need, the times and the dates. And then I have a whole bunch of projects lined up so they can learn more about watercoloring. So if you have any questions about joining during the month of October, please let me know. Okay, we're going to get going. So today I'm using the Season of Chick. I'm actually not using the stamp set. I'm using the Chick dies. Let me bring the die in that I'm going to use. It's really neat. It's this one right here. I love the texture that this creates. We're going to use that on a background. And then I'm using the Good Feelings stamp set. I'm just using this big I'm just so happy for you. And I'm going to show you all the products first before I get going. Now these are die cut leaves along with some pretty, like a pumpkin color rhinestone. Those are from our leaf label and amber gem combo pack. So I'm going to be using those. I'm actually going to start the first step with the leaves. I'm using 2 today because I'm gonna do something to one of them. I'll tell you in a minute. Soft seafoam cardstock, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. I'm just gonna fold that on the score line. And then I have a piece of crumb cake, which is 5.5 by 1 3/4. So that's it for cardstock. I'm using our Fern 3D embossing folder. And for inks, I have crumb cake, pumpkin pie, soft seafoam, and Versamark. Pretty colors. Need a blending brush. Clear Wink of Stella. I almost forgot that. And then some clear embossing powder. Now, let me show you what we're making. I'm showing you a technique today. You've seen me show you guys how to create your own embossing, colored embossing powder, or colored embossing, what do I want to say? Colored embossing, wet embossing. This is the card. Now I'm going to bring it up close. So I'm using the embossing folder as a stamp, but I'm running it through the machine. I want to show you with the clear embossing powder how shiny that is. I'm hoping I can capture that. Yes, you can see how shiny that is. Now because I am inking the embossing folder, and I don't want, when I put this in, I'm going to explain it before I do it. When I put this in, I don't want those edges. So I actually ran the whole card base, front and back, through the embossing folder. And then I put 2 pieces of white on the inside, because when you do that, when you do the front like this, it becomes flimsy because it breaks the fibers in the cardstock. So it kind of makes a nice back layer for the card also. But the first thing I want to do, oh, I forgot to explain. You can see my leaves are 2 different colors. I sponged the pumpkin pie ink on this one, or I blending brush. And I want to do that first because I have to let that dry. So let me go ahead and bring pumpkin pie in. I'm going to go ahead and grab a wipe because I know I'm going to get ink on me. So let me just, oh, this is a new container. I can't find the end, you guys. There it is. Okay. I know I'm going to get ink on me. Okay, here's my blending brush. So this is like a craft color. And I'm going to, you're going to see how wet it gets. You can see how shiny and wet. That's why I want to do this first, because it takes a little while for this to dry. But look how easy it was to change the color of this leaf. Okay, so I'm all done with that. So now let me bring them close. Let's see the difference in the color. Very easy to add color to that leaf. Okay, now let me clean up my fingers so I don't get any on my other pieces. And we're all set with the pumpkin pie. Now we're going to do the embossing. Okay. Oh, I wanted to show you, in case you missed these leaves and gems in the catalog, they're on page 49, right here at the top. And then if you flip over also to page 83, they're again right here. So just in case, sometimes you go through catalogs and you miss these little things that are included. So I just wanted to make sure to point that out to you. Okay, now the trick with doing this, I knew I wanted to emboss the background to make it shiny. If you do that with just the straight ink, because this is dye-based ink, it dries too fast. So that's why we're going to start out with Versamark ink. And when you're choosing which side to do the embossing, you have to have the bumpy side so it presses into your cardstock. So I just kind of make sure I get the right side. This one is indented. This is the one with the bumps, so it's the one opposite the logo. I'm going to ink the whole thing with Versamark first. Versamark does not dry fast, so that's why if you add the Versamark first, it's going to keep the soft seafoam ink wet, and then you'll be able to do the embossing. Okay, so now you can see that I want to make sure I get ink all over that, which I did. Now what I'm going to do is the opposite side that I did not ink, I'm going to place my cardstock, and then I'm going to flip this down. You could actually just rub this and use it as a stamp, but I want to use it as an embossing folder. So I'm going to put it through my machine. I'm going to run it back and forth just to get that really deep embossing. And then when you're done with this, you can just run this through the water with the kitchen faucet. That'll come right off. Now this is still wet because I used the Versamark. I'm going to add the clear embossing powder. You can see that it's sticking to the green ink because it's still wet. Okay, now I'm just going to flip this over. I usually like to do this when I do a lot of it. Okay, so I can see that all of my leaves are covered. Another tip, make sure you put this away because once you start using the heat tool, you don't want to aim it on your powder, make it fly all over the place. Okay, now you're going to hear a little bit of noise while I do the embossing. And you're going to see how pretty and shiny this gets. Oh, Misty is saying we've all done that. I've done that before where I turn this on and my embossing powder is right there. Now look how quickly that's melting, and it's so shiny. It's so pretty. You can see the difference in the tone of the soft seafoam ink. So this is just a great way to add a background. Now that my heat tool is pretty hot, this won't take too long. But isn't that neat? And you can do this with any color. So not only can you create your own stamped embossing, you can create your own embossing folder embossing. Now I usually like to hold this up to the light to make sure that I hit all the spots. Okay, let me see. Oh, right here. I'm almost done. Okay, now I think I got it all. So now you can see how flimsy this is. It's all warped and a little crooked. And I mean, look at your card base. So that's why I like to turn it on the inside. And I like to add a layer of white to both sides of my card base. It just strengthens the card base itself, because like I said, once you press into that with an embossing folder, it breaks all the fibers in the cardstock, so it weakens the whole thing. Okay, so now look how nice this is. All nice and straight now, but look how pretty that is. Just want to look at the camera, make sure. Yeah, see how shiny? Pretty neat, huh? Okay, now I'm going to dig out my crumb cake ink. We're going to do the sentiment over to the right hand side so we can leave room for the leaves. I had to, oops, I goofed right there. Side number 2. I gotta stand up. This is such a big stamp. I can't see. I think I rocked it a little bit. There we go. Now, because I'm gluing on embossing, I'm going to use my liquid glue, or as some of us call it, the green glue, because it's in a green bottle. I'm going to put plenty, only because this is nice and shiny and bumpy, so we want that to stick real well. And I'm going to go about 1/4 of an inch, or not 1/4, 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. I just need to trim just a little bit. Oh, you know what? I forget to put my die cut first. Let me just lift this just a little. We need to glue this pretty die cut. And again, because I'm gluing on embossing, I'm just going to add liquid glue. And I'm going to kind of put it at an angle like this. Okay, now we can press everything down. I'm just going to flip this over so I can press down. And we're going to add the Wink of Stella to our pumpkin pie leaf. I'm just going to make it all nice and sparkly and shiny. And you'll notice as I'm doing this that because I'm coloring on the ink that I just blended on there, the tip of my brush is turning that same ink color. And what I usually do when I'm done, I just take a piece of scrap paper. Let me finish up here. I just take a piece of scrap paper and I just run my brush until it's clear again. You can see that it all came off. Okay, now we're going to add some jewels that came with the leaves. Because I'm not using this as a tag, I wanted to cover up that hole. So that's why I opted to put 3 jewels on each leaf. Whoops, that stuck to my finger. All right, I can't get it off. Wow, it's being stubborn, you guys. I think the ink is still wet, that's why. I'm going to put just a dab of the liquid glue. The ink is still a little wet and it's just sticking to me. I can't get that one. Okay, I'm going to put that one aside. Let's try another one. I'm going to add 3 of these jewels to each leaf. My goodness. Okay, there's that one. So I hope you guys took part in the free shipping we had yesterday all day. Thanks for those of you that ordered from me. I like it when they surprise us like that. Okay, now this one here, I used dimensionals. And as I have a little cubby in front of me that's full of dimensionals, so I always have some at my fingertips. I had to refill that today, and I thought, what a great time to show you guys how obsessed I am with dimensionals. I'm going to show you where I keep my dimensionals. Look, this is my stash. These are my regular, and these are my minis. So you can see I'm never going to run out. I always make sure I have plenty on hand. I just love those things. Okay, this one we're going to glue with liquid glue, and it's going to go over the little die cut. And then this one's going to be glued in place with the dimensionals. And I will pick a name for one of these cards tomorrow for anybody that left a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, I always do the drawings on Facebook. So you need to find me on Facebook if you haven't joined my group yet. It's Stampin' Ink Designs group. So there you go, everyone. There's my card with my wet and dry embossing with the embossing folder. I hope you enjoyed that, and that was with the Fern 3D embossing folder. Thanks so much for joining me, and again, a reminder, I'll be on at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for the whole month of October, so I'll see you guys next week. Have a good night, and thanks for dropping in. Bye-bye.